Hello and welcome to the Ending Body Burnout Show. We're your hosts, Chris and Philly, co-founders of multi-award-winning functional medicine practice, serving busy people with energy, mood, and gut issues.
Well, busyness, overworking, addictive doing, and perfectionism might be the norm. It's not normal, and it's a major contributor to health issues.
Our goal with this show is to give you a holistic root cause approach to healing your body so that you don't have to continue doctor or diet hopping or popping a gazillion supplements hoping something might stick.
So get ready to heal your body, get your spark back, deeply connect with yourself, and step into the life of your dreams. Let's dive in.
Oh ho!
Hello, everybody. It is Chris and Philly here. Today we are going to flip the tables. So last episode, I shared my body burnout story. Now we're going to hear from Chris. He's going to share his healing journey. We've actually been calling it the hero's story, actually, or the hero journey.
Love it.
So, shall we kick off?
I reckon.
Starting right back when you were a little boy.
Yeah, cool. All right. Starting back from when I was a little boy, ever since I was a little boy, I've really been interested in sport, physical activity, performance. I really enjoyed being around people and I wanted to do the hard things. And I think the small, easy things really bored me. And I really lost interest easily. And
that hasn't changed.
No, I'm still a little boy.
Like, do the dishes, Chris. No, that's boring.
I don't say that. But I feel like ever since I was a little boy, I've been very interested in challenging myself. And I have also had a bit of a rebellious streak in me as well. I know my mum could probably come up with a bunch of stories about when I was this little rebel. I don't know how she did it. She has a lot of patience. Anyway, so I've got this history of pushing myself, challenging myself, and enjoying the challenge. I feel like it's probably good to talk about my relationship with my family and my dad and even my granddad as well. I've got this. I'm the oldest grandson. I'm the oldest grandson in a very large, patriarchal, close-knit, extended family. My mum's the second oldest of 12 kids, and there's including great grandkids, I think there's like over 70 people in my extended family. Real close-knit family. And my relationship with my granddad was a very moral, ethical, loving, caring, very balanced, very, very kind-hearted, masculine guiding hand, and I think he was a massive role model in my life growing up. My dad was too. My dad was super into sport and athletics and performance, and being a military guy, there was a lot of military culture that passed through him to me as well. And I think.
And it's interesting too, I think, in your dad's line, like the history of violence in terms of his dad
his
was
career.
in the army as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Air Force.
Air Force, yeah. And so, not violence as in he hit you, but more like that experience of trauma.
Well, there was a bit of that.
Yeah, like the...
I think, well, that's it. So coming from a military background, the profession was a profession of violence. And I think the line between war and profession and family got blurred a lot. And I think, and when I say violence, I don't necessarily mean in terms of physicality, but emotional violence as well. And that was a real For any one of you who have a military background or have that little T passed on lived experience trauma from a loved one, a parent, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's hard to not leave work at work. And when you come home, there's a massive culture of that coming into families. Anyway.
Also, too, I think it's interesting. You have the generation of war going right back to your Viking ancestors as well. You always like to bring in the Vikings.
Yeah.
So fighting, war, all that sort of stuff.
It's ancestral, it's cultural, and I'm living, my life is the result of my ancestors, really, when you look at it. That's not airy fairy, but that's literal. I've got the genes of my ancestors, and they've led me to this point. And so the patterns of my past ancestors have been passed on to me, and that's affected me genetically and morally, culturally. And so my starting point really started there. So anyway, I guess moving on, I've always had a gift for and this innate gift of intuition and a real care for the wounded and for people who I've been blessed with health of body and mind my whole life, and physical ability to do things that a lot of people haven't. My gift has always been helping those who are less fortunate than me. That's not arrogant. I feel like that comes, I mean that to come from love, and I can spot a mile away when someone's doing it tough, and I might come across as rough around the edges sometimes, but I really do care about people being okay.
Let's talk about maybe fast forwarding a little bit to older person. So Big Dog.
That was my nickname.
Was your nickname when I met you?
Yeah. I guess battling with these themes in my life, the common themes of fight, aggression, ego proving, nature, all that stuff inside of me. Part of me was, this big dog, this big cuddly guy who might flip and bite your head off. I struggled. I struggled to bring balance to that for a long time, and as a large part of my life growing up. And the lines really were blurred on the court. I could be this teammate that would do anything for you, but then if you do something, I really struggled with that stress fight response.
And I think sport, too, like that ego went into the performance, high achieving, do, gotta win the gold, to the detriment of also your health. So even before we met, you were eating atrocious, you weren't recovering, you were doing stuff with your body at such an elite level, but there was no time to actually recover or restore your body. And I remember when we met too, you were working 2 full-time jobs, one in the daytime and one at nighttime. So like you weren't even sleeping very well at all.
To me, nothing was more important than the victory. The victory. I had this archetypal vision a while ago, speaking of Vikings, where I literally had this thought, this dream recurring. I was a Viking in a war, there was this line of opponents in front of us, and here was I didn't have a sword or an axe, I had a club, and I envisioned myself with this club, and I would charge into battle, and I would jump into the fray, and I would kill 20, 30 people, and then give myself die for the cause. I had this vision, this dream recurring over and over again. And I think that described my life. I would give everything that I had, even my life and my body, for the cause. And Yeah.
Yeah. And then I feel like that really, trickled into business as well. So after we got married, you started your first business and you thrashed your body doing that as well.
I sacrificed my body for the cause, where if that cause was more points than the opposition on a basketball court, that was it. If it was lifting heavy weights in a strongman competition, that was it. If it was in business, that was it. I would sacrifice my body for the cause. And I think one day it got to a point where I realized I was in a tunnel. I was in this dark place where I just couldn't. It was mid to late 30s. My body started breaking down. I based my sense of self, my identity on what I could do. Identity based on what I could do. I was the guy who did the things. And I relished in that. And all of a sudden, my body started breaking down. I couldn't do those things anymore. My ego broke. And I was constantly inflamed. I was in pain. 10 out of 10 pain in my joints, exhausted, chronic headaches, burnout, compulsive addiction, depression, all that sort of stuff.
Can we dig into that a bit? Seeing as this is the Body Burnout Show, let's chat about like what that actually looked like for you. So, I mean, I can give you my version of what I saw. So Chris was so exhausted, but he didn't realize he was exhausted. I remember driving. We would drive from our house to, say, my mum's, which is about 20 minutes away back then. And Chris couldn't even stay awake to drive that long, let alone a 3.5-hour trip to the other end of the state. And he just thought that was normal. And
I don't know if I thought it was normal, but I...
Well, you were brushing it aside as if it's not an issue.
I was suppressing it.
You were suppressing it.
I was suppressing it big time. It wasn't like I was... I definitely didn't think it was normal, but I knew that I just had to get over it. Otherwise, I couldn't do the things. So shush up, Chris. Just ignore it. Get in there. Sick of it.
Yeah, it's like kind of my patterns that I shared last week for a different reason, but it's just like, just go, just keep doing, do.
Yeah.
And then you were getting pretty bad chronic headaches that were patterns. And this was really interesting because you were okay during the weekday or the work days. But Sundays, your day off, you would wake up with this atrocious headache that would thump, like even to the point of a migraine.
Yeah.
And basically it was because he was...
Doped myself up on caffeine during the week, pre-workouts
like
to get
drinks,
the workouts done.
Red Bull.
Yeah.
And then, Sunday, he didn't have any of that.
Force myself to keep going, like just keep going. Don't quit. Don't give up. You insert really negative, mean word about myself,
But even then I remember saying, it's probably because you're having too many Red Bulls. And again, suppressing, deflecting. You're like, no. There's something wrong with my head. It's like, yeah, there is, but there's a reason why you're getting the withdrawal headaches.
I feel like I was in this tunnel, this dark place, body falling apart.
I'd say depression as well.
Yeah.
To some point. Degree.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And anxiety. And then my body falling apart, business started falling apart, family falling apart. Our marriage was on the rocks, falling apart. I wasn't present. I definitely wasn't connecting. And to top it all off, I feel like, just to tie it all in maybe, I couldn't do the things that I thought or that I'd based my sense of self, my identity on. And in addition to this tunnel, this existential crisis, this void, during this time, my granddad passed away. This man that I really looked up to, and it was a really hard time at that period of my life. He was he meant so much to me. And I think that's where I had a choice. Hey, it was lose my business, lose my wife, my family, lose my body, lose my life, or get some help. And so I started looking for help. I'm not a very smart guy, but I started looking for help. And I hope that if any of you are listening to this are maybe going through this tunnel, I just probably want to speak to this while it's in my mind right now, if that's all right. Like, if you feel that you're in the tunnel right now and you feel like it's all a bit dark and you can't do what you've always done, and you're feeling like you've got this existential void, this identity crisis, I really want to speak to you specifically, everybody, whoever can listen, but I'm talking to you especially because I care about you. And ideally that's why I want to share this story, is with you, if that resonates with you. But everyone else, keep listening too. At that time, I think came into my world FMA Strength Institute, and I met some mentors, some guides of mine, Mark Buckley and Mark Luxon, and they introduced me to, they helped me to hone my rehab skills and my strength and conditioning skills that I already had and that I was pretty good at, but they really just took that to another level, really, really high level stuff. And
it was a lot around preventing burnout as well.
Yeah, well, exactly. And they also introduced me to mindset and high level business skills as well, at a higher level that I'd been exposed to up to that point. And really helped me to be, they taught me more about being a high level man, a high value man. And it became less about doing and achieving and more about just being high value, serving a purpose, having utility that's actually purpose driven. And so my life evolved. My life evolved. My body changed, and I did a lot of inner work on myself. And then I was also met with a new.
Before you go to that next chapter, because we also did a bit of functional medicine, adrenal work as well. Hey.
Yeah.
There was, if you listen to my story last week, my initial first chapter 1 of my healing journey was very much on the physical plane. Chris, you probably took it more on the inner mind plane first and foremost as the big, huge transformation for you. But on the side as well, I'm like, your adrenals are fried. Let's do an adrenal test. And sure enough, stage 2 adrenal fatigue, similar to my results.
Fully cooked.
But it was cool because you were still training in strongman at that point in time as well. And you had a national competition and you came second. This was after doing all the really honing in on recovery and rehab and healing from burnout and doing all the adrenal protocol work. You came second, and I remember standing there with your competitors, and they were like, "Oh, what's your training regime like, Chris?" And you said, "Well, actually, I haven't done a lot of training leading up to this, not in comparison to what I was doing." So that was kind of really cool testament to that. Not only were you healing physically, but you were performing better while doing less.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at that sort of time, with my work with Mark and Mark, and FMA, my heart really changed. I flicked a switch, and with that inner work, I was met with another challenge, and it was more around the incongruence of being like a meathead, into something more than that.
Which you always had as part of you. Like if you think about the way you described yourself as a boy, and having that more role model of your granddad who was very kind-hearted and ethical, and you even felt within you had that innate intuition for other people as well. So you're just a walking contradiction right from the moment you were born, I think.
Well, maybe.
And fighting between the two, I think, is what led to the burnout.
Yeah. I guess coming home to myself and who I actually really was, I think that was That was that challenge. That was the challenge, is letting go of this forceful desire to do and achieve, and just come back to who I was and what my purpose in life really was. And so that was my challenge at that point. And then I woke up one morning, COVID hit, bang,
Dun, dun.
lockdown, central. Awesome. It was awesome in the silence and in the quiet, and I had some really beautiful moments of being alone, and also not being alone, like connecting with you and the girls, and my past life of being a gym owner, being away from 5 a.m. to 10, or probably more than like 4:30, really, 4:30 to 10 p.m. It just wasn't congruent with this new high level man that I was trying to become. And so I pivoted my business, the gym, and you and I, we joined forces, created Chris and Philly in that time of COVID, Chris and Philly Functional Medicine.
So back then, I don't know if we clarified, you had a gym during this time.
And
then a personal training business even before that.
Yeah.
While in the mix of all of that, I was practicing functional medicine just as a sole trader. And so then COVID 2020 happened. We'd been talking about it for ages. Oh my gosh, wouldn't it be amazing if we joined forces, body and mind combined?
Yeah.
And so COVID gave us that opportunity to get our clients better results, was like the main goal, but also to just from our lifestyle perspective, and especially for you, it was meant to be. Like it led to the lifestyle that we wanted to create, so that we could both be healthy and happy and be able to connect as a family.
Absolutely. And it was in this time where I thought, it's pivot time. That was the buzzword at the time, is pivot. COVID equals need to pivot. And I thought, you know what? I want to dive deep into mindset, really improve my professional coaching credentials and standard, and get better at that. And so being the hyper-focused, deep diving, high achieving, go-getting kind of guy that I still was at that time, I found my mentor, Kylie Ryan from Super Coach Academy. And she taught me, and the community of faculty as well, taught me to be a high-level mindset coach. I was still tempted. I had temptations to revisit old habits. And I was really, in this time of my life, I was coming face to face with my patterns. As I started to let go of the old and adopt the new, I started to realize, some of this stuff ain't easy to put down. And so in my work with Kylie about learning how to be a better coach for others, I received coaching support and guidance on how to notice and be aware of and understand and take responsibility and ownership for my patterns, and to rethink and reframe the way I was doing things, and also to just let go and drop a few things that I was carrying around at that time.
You always had this nice, I'm going to use the word feminine, even before you did any of this work, and when you were like going hard and doing all the things. In our relationship, you were still always probably the more feminine one, like the more intuitive. When we would have conversations, or if we'd had a fight, you were always the one that would say sorry first and try and draw out my issues from my brain. And then when you did work with Kylie too, it was really balancing that over-dominant masculine energy to then drop down into it's safe to be slow, to be more feminine, but still be a man, and to really let go of, like it took you, I would say, even a couple of years to really let go of this need to do more sport and win. Now you're doing, what is it, BJJ?
Yeah.
But just for fun, and you go swimming in the cold ocean all year round.
So I feel like I entered into a new abyss. You know, I'm in the tunnel and I feel like, I can see light. I know that light is just around the corner. And I feel like I was still in over the last couple of years since COVID, for the first part of that, I was still in the tunnel. I just took a bend. And although I pivoted our business and my roles and profession, I felt like I was still in the abyss, the tunnel. And I was starting to witness this evolution as I was going through this dark night of my soul. And I was really witnessing the death of the rah-rah and more this birth of the
woo-woo.
La-la.
La-la, that's probably better than woo-woo.
Rah-rah to la-la. and I feel like I was coming home. I feel like I was coming home, like almost a full circle, like you mentioned. I was remembering my granddad and the guidance and my upbringing and my purpose and the reason I'm put on this planet. And I was starting to get to know that. And so as I've come out of that tunnel, I've seen the light. I've stepped into the light and my transformation has really been this evolution of me as a person. It's not just about doing equals having. It's about prioritizing, taking care of myself, connecting with the most important things in my life, being a high value man, living by my heart-centered values and I've come into this new version of me, and maybe it's not even a new version. It's more of like a return. It's a creation of old thing is to help you to navigate these dark moments of your life and become who you are born to be, and connect you to get you to connect to your heart and your soul and to address the deepest root cause of body burnout and to integrate that into this new way of being in your life.
Amen.
Boss. I think that's
awesome. Thank you so much, Chris, for sharing your story. If anyone has any questions or even, you know what, actually, seeing as this is a new podcast, we would just love to hear from you if what we have been sharing so far has been resonating. If you want to see anything specific on the podcast, feel free to message us. We want to give you the best of us based on what you need.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening, guys. Really appreciate it.
Goodbye.
Have the best day ever.
Thank you so much for listening. We so appreciate you. If you'd like to give us extra smiles, drop us a review and spread the love by sharing this episode.
You can also rate your own state of burnout and the root cause contributors by taking our Ending Body Burnout assessment on our website. And if you're interested in learning about our group or one-on-one Ending Body Burnout programs, shoot us a DM via Instagram or Facebook. Have the best day ever.